Hello. I thought I would go through and just record a quicker video for those who don't have time to sit through the 45-minute introduction and go over how you can start working with Muse and how that works with your story form. Let's do a muskrat and a beaver who are sick of living on the river. When in doubt, use your own imagination. All right. River Runaways. In the peaceful backwaters of the Great Mulberry River, a muskrat named Molly and a beaver named Benny find themselves yearning for adventure. All right. They constructed grained wooden raft using Benny's architectural expertise. All right. That sounds good enough. The question was, how do you quickly do this? So let's say this is the story that I have, just an idea I have. I can just easily, quickly just say, and there is no one path through everything. That's the great thing. So I can show you one path, but then there's lots of different ways. You could build it up and then start to save stuff away, or you can start to save stuff away now. It really is open to you regardless, either way you want to go about it. So for instance, let's set up a story for this. We'll save away this synopsis for now. And that should do it. Should make a story called River Runaways and then put the synopsis in there. Now, also, the question was, do I always have to say save? Sometimes it'll do it automatically. Sometimes it won't. It's really just about the conversation and the flow that you're having with it. If it is going to save, it'll let you know about it, or if it already did it. So for instance, I've created a new story titled River Runaways for you, and you see the context popped up here. Would you like to continue developing this story, dive into the story form to figure out its unique narrative structure, or perhaps start by saving the synopsis? So you haven't done it yet. So go ahead and say synopsis. Make sure you keep it detailed because it has a tendency sometimes when it saves stuff away to summarize. Now, the purpose of all this work is just to get you in contact with the meaning of your story, like with what your story is really about. You're not actually doing your writing here. It's like you're thinking through your story and figuring out how everything's going to hook up before you actually start to put stuff down on the page. So the question was like, when am I finished with my work here? You're finished here when you want to go write. And then, so you don't have to do a complete story form and make it all filled out. And then when you get stuck or anything, then you just come back and you work out the different pieces. It's a way of keeping your story and the thematic intent of it to keep guardrails for you and to keep a place that you can keep coming back and seeing, oh, am I still on the right path? I've changed the story a little bit. That's what this is all about. So that should get you started. That's enough. So the synopsis has been saved away. So what does that mean? If I go into the story for River Runaways and I look at the overviews, right? We haven't done a story form, there are no players, and we haven't done any of this stuff. If I look at the overviews, that's where the plot synopsis will be. So I'll just do plot synopsis, and here it is. It looks like it might be a little shorter. Like I said, it tends to summarize and do that kind of thing. But unless there's specific detail, you really just want to have a reference point for what it is. And then you can always go back into the conversations if there was a part that you missed and then revisit it and think, oh, okay, wait, this is what I wanted to do. So that's really it. So there's so many things I can do. For instance, I could say the whole venture thing sounds a little too familiar, and I'd love to get some elements of psychological thriller in there. What do you say? I'm going to do the first psychological thriller animated film of all time, but make it look like happy-go-lucky little guys. All right, so adding a psychological thriller twist sounds like a fantastic way to spice up the narrative. River Runaways, Shadows on the Water. Molly and Benny's nautical escapade soon veers into the shadowy realm as they encounter not just quirky river folk, but cryptic clues that should suggest there's more to the Great Mulberry River than meets the eye. As they drift further, the peaceful waters begin to reveal secrets long submerged. That is rad. Okay. I love that. Can you, let's just say, rewrite plot synopsis with this new take on it? So it will completely like I could rewrite it or I could have it mix in together the different ideas. It's complete freedom. with the structural context of the story you're trying to tell. The plot synopsis has been updated. So let's go over and see whether or not it created a new one or it just overwrote it. There you go. This is a shortened version of the other one, but their voyage quickly takes a darker turn. They speak in hushed tones about a mysterious river spirit. Perfect. Super cool. And then I can always go back and every story point overview, anything that I save into this story will always be attached to the conversation. So if I do a bunch of different conversations, I can always go back to it here. That's really cool. So then maybe I actually really like that so far. So let's start to build the story form for it. Now, a story form is just a way of taking that story idea and getting some narrative structure to it. And there are tens of thousands of different unique narrative structures. So let's see if we can find a really cool one. The first thing to do, and these are like the two most important ones, at least the ones that really help identify everything, is the plot, which is the objective story, and the main character through line. So in the objective story plot, that's what the synopsis just was. So the broad quest of Molly and Benny as they navigate the river and uncover its mysteries. And in the main characters, either Molly or Benny, focusing on their internal transformation as they confront their own fears and perception of reality. So then what you want to do next, the way that the story forming process works, the way that you figure out which one of those tens of thousands is you start to identify sources of conflict in these different through lines. And they have different relationships that speak of the narrative. So in this, it put the overall plot that the source of conflict is in psychology, which is conceptualizing the river's mysteries and navigating the mental challenges. So before it was just a strict adventure, like a little children's book of them going down the river. That would have been in a different domain. It probably would have been in the physics domain because it would be like an adventure. This is a psychological thriller, so it's going to put it in psychology. And then the main character domain is in universe to balance that out. So Molly or Benny's reality on the river and the unsettling events. I don't know. Let's figure out the domains first. So I don't know quite yet who is main character. Let me know what it would be like if Molly was the MC. What would be her universe domain conflict? And then another example, Benny, make sure they are different. And then this is a way I can identify who's the main character because I don't know yet. So let's explore what the main character of domain of universe might look like for Molly and Betty. So let's see, if Molly's the main character, hers could revolve around the disquieting sense that her world along the river is not as it seems. Her conflict stems from the reality that the river itself, which was once her comforting home, is filled with unsettling clues and disturbances. All right, that seems pretty typical. Benny's universal domain conflict involves the structural and foundational challenges posed by his engineer's mindset in a world seemingly governed by unexplainable phenomena. His universe is disrupted by the strange occurrences affecting the river. He grapples with the contrast between mechanical predictability. I feel like I'm connecting more with Molly. Just makes more sense. Thanks for that. Let's make Molly MC cheaper domain universe. For now, can you save away this illustration of her personal conflict? So unless I specifically, because right now we're in the context of figuring out a story form, unless I save it away specifically, it's not going to save it. It's here in the conversation. I can always come back. It seems this conversation isn't yet, okay, this is great, isn't yet attached to a specific story form. Would you like to create a new story form? So we haven't done a story form yet. Right now, this is just a story. And we're working our way to the story form. Or would you prefer to attach it to an existing one? It should have just done it to the story. But for right now, I can say, actually, for right now, can you just attach it to this story? And it should just do it to the story itself. I will look and see why. There it goes. All right. Then it'll save it away. It's not going to be exactly the same thing all the time. About attaching this, let's create a story form. Would you like to proceed with the creating the story form now? No, just sing the story, River Runaways. Try one more time. Be very specific. If not, I have work to do. Here we go. All right, now it worked. Sometimes you just gotta hit it on the head. The main character domain of universe with Molly's personal conflict has been successfully saved to the story River Runaways. And I will look to see why this has happened. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just free flowing. It's like I'm talking to somebody and they're not listening to you. So let me go into here and it should be. So now that's a story point. So if I go into story points, there it is. Main character domain. And here it is. Her main character domain revolves around the disquieting sense that her world along the river is not as it seems. Great. Later, I could take that and then add it to the story form. I could try out different story forms. That's the whole idea. And then since we're getting up to 15 minutes, let's go ahead and see if I can finish out the story form really fast. All right. That's great. So what's next for the story form? Because I'm just working it out. And even like just that, I could take that and go right. I don't necessarily need to keep going. All right, since we've placed the objective story domain in psychology, the possible story goals are conceptualizing, figuring out the nature of the river spirit and what it represents, being, coming to terms with their own interpretation of reality on the river, transforming or transcending fear. That's interesting. Conceiving, coming up with a new understanding of themselves and their journey. Now, don't like being, but the other three sound interesting. Please illustrate, detail what the story would feel like. The goal was each of the other three. I don't know if I necessarily said that correct. I just want examples of what it would look like. Conceptualizing. The story would focus on the intellectual and psychological quest of Molly and Benny as they attempt to unravel the mysteries of the river spirit. All right. Each encounter along the river challenges them with puzzles and codes. Conflict. Much of the tension comes from misunderstandings, misinformation, and the struggle to hold a coherent concept as paranoia. Ooh. All right, this one's more transformative. As they adapt to the weird occurrences, they begin to change how they perceive their capabilities and fear. That's actually quite interesting. The challenges they meet force them to confront and alter their existing beliefs. Okay. Conceiving. This version focuses more on inspiration and innovation. A large part of this story was involved in brainstorming and hypothesizing about the river's true nature. Obstacles stem from their attempts to introduce novel concepts. I think I will go with becoming. So let's go with coming for now. I like the idea of them overcoming their fears and belief systems. Maybe even not having any more beliefs. That might be interesting. So like the story is not about, I started with a muskrat and a beaver, and now all of a sudden it's about living in a world where you don't have beliefs, because sometimes beliefs can get in the way. The narrative follows Molly and Benny as they journey. Okay, they must let go of ingrained beliefs and fears to embrace their true selves. This transformation is prompted by unnerving experiences that challenge every conviction they hold. I like that a lot. Conflict side note. This isn't just about adapting to their environment. It's about embracing a new understanding of themselves. So it's not just let's go with the flow. It's no, let's completely change. By the story's end, Molly and Benny's reaffirmation reveals that freedom lies in the absence of rigid belief systems. Wow. That is fantastic. I love that. I love that. Let's keep going. See if I can do this in 20 minutes. All right. Here we go. What's the next step? Oh, I think it's going to save it away. Cool. Has been saved to your story, River Runaways, Shadows on the Water. I wonder, now this will be interesting. Because it called it that, I wonder if it's here. Hey, here it is. Cool. The narrative follows as they journey. Yeah. All right. So even though it's thinking that the story is that, oh no, I guess it's got the whole shadows thing, but it's saved there. Didn't save it away to a, great. All right. Next, we can move on to identifying the pivotal elements. So this will be one will be Molly and one will be Benny. It's like the central argument of the story. So here's our list of choices. Faith and disbelief definitely stand out. Control and abandon definitely stand out. Just for the sake of time, let's just do control and abandon. Let's do control and abandon with Betty being control, right? Because one of them will be one and one will be the other. Control versus abandon is definitely what I'm going for. Using control versus abandon. So Benny's character embodies the need for structure, predictability. So now I'm starting to develop the character. His nature to want to fix and make sense of everything clashes with the river's unpredictable nature. I did that on purpose. And then Molly, on the other hand, represents the courage to let go, embrace uncertainty, and trust in the flow of their journey. As they progress down the river, Bella's reliance on logic and structure is continually tested. Would you like me to save this dynamic, or is there another? I don't need to save. Actually, yeah, go ahead and save. Go ahead and save away. Let's move on to the next step. So it'll save this away. And then can move on. I think we're really close to getting that complete story. All right. Next, align the rest of the story form. Oh, action. So the story drivers, these are the things that are left. Main character resolve, the mental sex, and the ending. Actually, I'm going to leave it like this right now. So far, all that sounds great. I'm going to have to think about this for a while before I go. I've imagined this thriller. I want it to be the first made psychological thriller. So they should look cute, but what they're dealing with is quite dark. Let's just see what it comes up with. That's what it looks like. Here's what it looks like with Benny and Molly. This is probably Molly, and this is probably Benny. All right, River Runaways. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helps give you an idea how to start with nothing and get to something pretty cool. All right, bye.